in math today are going to talk about measurement. Okay, so specifically we're going to talk about inches and feet and yards, okay? So first we're going to watch a quick number rock video, and then I'm going to ask you guys some questions, and then you guys will do your independent work, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and share my computer screen. Actually, now we'll play.
We are the women and men of measurement. If there's a distance, we find the length of it. We know we can always put 12 inches inside a foot, and 1 yard just won't be complete if it does not contain 3 feet.
1 inch is what you got if you're looking at the top of a bottle of pop.
On your thumb is about 1 inch from your knuckle to your fingertip. We are the women and men of measurement.
Make sure you guys are paying attention. I see some of you not looking at the screen.
If there's a distance, we find the length of it.
The length of the folder where your work is put measures out to just 1 foot.
You'll find a foot if you look at the height of the parrot on my hook.
Yar. A football field has 100 marks. Each one is a yard apart.
At the plate with a softball bat, a yard is about what you're looking at.
Open your fingers a pinch and make an inch. Then make your hands look just like a foot. Put them 3 times as far and make a yard. Now we know how long they are. We are the women and men of measurement. If there's a distance, we find the length of it.
All right. Okay, so my questions for you guys are, I'm just going to ask you, if I'm measuring an object, would I use inches, feet, or yards? Okay, so you'll raise your hands and I will call on you and you can help me try and figure that out, okay? So if I want to measure how long my pencil is, what would I use? Inches, feet, or yards? What do you think? I see Oscar's hand. Go ahead.
Inches.
Inches. I think I would agree because this doesn't look like a foot. So if I use inches, let me get my ruler out.
That's what I was about to say. You should get your ruler out.
All right, let me share my camera. Hopefully it stayed plugged in. It did not. There we go. All right, so if I'm using my ruler to measure in inches, okay, I'm going to put my pencil at the start, so at 0. I'm going to put the end of the pencil at 0, and then I'm going to measure to see. All right, how many inches to the nearest whole inch? What would you say that is? To the nearest whole inch. How long is my pencil?
7 or 8. 7.
All right, make sure you raise your hands. Let's go with Niley. Go ahead.
About 7.5.
Yeah, I would say it's about 7.5, but if I'm looking to do to the nearest whole inch, I would say it's about 7 inches, okay? Because it's closer to 7 than it is to 8. All right, what about my math? What would I use to measure my mask? Inches, feet, or yards? Oscar,
Inches. Feet.
you think feet? So I'm gonna think, do you think this is about a foot or less or more?
Probably less.
Probably less, so I'm
Less.
gonna use inches. So again, looking at the ruler, I'm gonna line my mask up to the 0. And someone tell me, how many inches to the nearest whole inch is my mask? Heavenly?
7.
7. I think it's exactly on 7. All right, so this thing we can't, or I don't want to give it away. How would I measure how tall I am? What would I use? How would I measure how tall I am? How would I measure how tall I am? I'm looking for hands. Go ahead, Kyla.
I forgot the name of it.
Is it inches,
we did
feet,
this
or
in-
yards?
I think it was first grade or second. I mean, first.
Okay, I don't know where you got first from, but what would I use to measure how tall I am? Inches, feet, or yards? Let's go with Gabe, go ahead.
How much feet? You'd use feet.
Yeah, I would use feet. So I'll go ahead and tell you guys so you don't have to watch me measure myself. I'm 5 feet and 7 inches, okay? So I would use that to measure my height. Okay. What about from here, from where I'm sitting to the door? What would I use to measure that? Inches, feet, or yards? From where I am all the way to the door, what would I use? Irisu, go ahead.
Yards.
Yards. I would measure that in yards starting at 0. All right, let me ask another one. What about this pair of scissors? What would I use to measure this pair of scissors? Inches, feet, or yards? Let's go with Kamaya.
Inches.
All right, and then let's practice measuring these scissors. So hopefully my camera stayed plugged in. Nope, that's all right. Switch camera. All right, so I'm gonna line my scissors up onto 0, which might be a little bit hard. 0 is about here. Okay, about how long are my scissors in inches to the nearest whole inch? Let's go with, who haven't I called on yet? Let's go with Gabe.
8.
Yeah, it's about 8 inches. Good job. All right, and if I wanted to measure the length of my desk, what would I use? Inches, feet, or yards? Heavenly?
Feet.
I would use feet. You're right. So I'll go ahead and measure my desk real quick since it's right in front of me. 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet. Ooh, 3 feet and 11 inches. All right. Do you guys remember from the song, how many feet are in a yard? How many feet are in a yard? Do you guys remember from your Number Rock song we just watched? Let's go with Niley, go ahead.
3.
Yeah, there's 3 feet in 1 yard. So if my desk is 3 feet and 11 inches, I could say it's 1 yard and 11 inches long. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so does that make sense why we use inches to measure some things that are smaller than a foot? feet to measure some things that are a little bit bigger, and then yards to measure bigger things? I love seeing the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Awesome job, guys. Okay.